Welcome to Commander Pop Culture, a place to gather magical information, with some laughs, might I add. Alrighty folks, sorry you've been waiting for so long, but I'm going to be playing my Enraged Russian Roulette deck, as I call it. It's the Indoraptor. I specifically care about the Enraged trigger. Whenever it's dealt damage, it deals damage equal to its power. I'm focusing on Voltron. We're gonna Mulligan again. This is not quite good enough. Ugh, I'm gonna go to 5 cards. Keep getting one land. Alright, I'm gonna keep. I got a couple of integral pieces. I got one big card advantage still with Escape of the Wild, so maybe we'll give up Rishkars because it takes a little bit of build up to make that happen. Now it comes down to giving up a land, a removal spell, or a Mithril Coat. Mithril Coat is great in this deck because Indoraptor has 1 toughness, and making him indestructible fixes that problem. Oubliette's great because I get to neuter someone's commander, and I'm pretty sure there's something in here that is absolutely terrible. Like Gishath is pretty awful. The only thing that sucks is it has haste, so Oubliette doesn't really work quite fast enough to deal with that. So maybe I just roll the dice and give that up and keep my 3 lands. 3 lands are nice because I have access to all colors. Although I could just keep the Undergrowth Stadium and the Shadow Blood Ridge and just let the Twilight Mire go. But I kind of want to get to Escape the Wilds as fast as I possibly can to fix this problem. So since Oubliette isn't as good as I'd like it to be, we're just going to let it go. There's a lot of people brewing this deck that I disagree with. Because the recommendation of EDH Rec is kind of weird. The popular build of this deck is Group Slug, and I get the draw of it is you want to take advantage of the Bloodthirst trigger, which is an ETB trigger. You put X+1/+1 counters on it, where X is the amount of damage dealt to your opponents. The only thing that kind of sucks about that is if your goal is to be dealing a bunch of damage to everybody, and that's like the synergy of your deck, what do you need a big commander for? Like, you could kill people naturally without your commander at all. So you're not really taking full advantage of the creature, in my opinion, and that's why I disagree. Voltron, I think, is the best way to build them. Some things that you care about other than destructibility is that you give stat increases to his toughness, so you could just survive naturally. So I put a lot of equipments and auras that not only increases power, but his toughness too. Protection, you don't want to put protection in this deck because it prevents damage that'd be dealt to Indoraptor, and you don't want to prevent damage dealt to him because you want to get that enraged trigger. So a lot of the swords are off the table. Not that they were already off the table because it's a little outside my budget. I am playing with the majority of my cards being $5 or less. And the reason why I do that is so people can afford building the deck itself. On Moto, this is a $48 deck. In paper, it's a little more on my spendier side. It's $175. I built this deck last week, but I didn't have a whole lot of time to feature it because it was a holiday season. I went back to Minnesota for a week to see my family, have my parents see their grandchildren, and there was just more important things on my plate than delivering content to all you, so I'm sorry, but I'll resume doing things on a consistent weekly basis. I am cutting a corner because normally I do a deck tech video with this, but I'm just going to talk about the deck as I play it and fill you in on what's going on. The Imalia deck, it wants you to gain life to explore, and then when it has 20 power, they can wipe the board except for itself, and then you're left with the 20/20 for everyone else to deal with. But should you bust 20 power, this ability can't be triggered, so you gotta be kind of mindful about that. When I built this deck, a lot of my cards were $5 or less, but a lot of the indestructible equipment seemed to got a surge in popularity recently because my Mithril Coat, the Darksteel Plate, and the Hammer Nizan were all like sitting really close to that $6 range. So if I'm busting and cheating in that regards, I'm sorry. I don't want to go back and do all the work of undoing things, especially very integral pieces of the deck, like indestructibility is incredibly important. I guess we'll play the Shadowborn Ridge and let it go. I've won plenty of games going to 5 cards.
Done it before. I can do it again.
so I'm not too terribly worried. And so far, no one's done anything too game-breaking. We're playing pretty fair Magic. 2-mana ramp spells, make a 1 land drop a turn. This guy's playing a lot of like cheap little dudes. Bloodchief's Ascension's pretty good. If he gets that turned on, he can start racking up Explore triggers pretty quickly. I was kind of turned off by that vampire, actually, because her ward ability is just the pay 3 life, which is borderline negligible. No one cares. I guess it's nice for the Bloodchief Ascension. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about what my channel is all about and how I contribute to Magic. I guess my goal is to raise saplings. I'd like to help new players mostly. I don't think seasoned players need my help unless they specifically ask for it. I get that from the folks in my local game store. Sometimes I get that like through YouTube comments. But if you want help with your decks, I have knowledge beyond just building budget decks like this one. I mostly do this so I can garner interest in the game. Indoraptor's a really cool dude. I hope you avoid building it the group slug way. I mean, you're allowed to build decks however you want. In the group slug version, you'll do things before you play your commander, and that could be mana taxing. Versus my version, it's a little more consistent because I can build after I play my commander, and that's why I think it's just strictly better. You could disagree or not disagree. I'd like to hear other people's comments in the description below if you think my idea of this deck is incorrect or not, and please tell me why, because I'd like to know. I think I've figured out a better solution, but I'm more than willing to be wrong. Just because I'm knowledgeable about the game doesn't mean I'm unwilling to admit being wrong. In fact, I think people who act that they know everything is a bit of a turnoff for new players. Humility goes a long way in more things than just Magic, but in life in general. The vampire player seems to be just picking on this historic deck, and I'm not entirely sure why. Mirror Galadriel seems really awesome in a legendary deck. It has a 5 and tap it to scry 1 and draw a card. The ability costs less per legendary creature they control. Since they're a historic deck, they're playing a ton of legendary creatures, and it makes sense why Mirror Galadriel's in the deck. I'm going to catch up in cards on my next turn, because I played a Ornithopter last turn, so I'll have access to 5 mana to cast this Escape, catch up to everybody. This guy has seen 12 cards, the middle player's seen 8 cards, the far right player has seen 11. I think the middle player also mulliganed to 5 cards. I could play my commander, but I think catching up in cards is a little more important. And like I said, I could always build up after I play my commander, and I'll have a ton of mana should he die. I already have a really sweet equipment in my possession. Hexplate Wallbreaker gives my commander +2/+2 and gives additional combats because I want more additional enraged triggers, baby. Indoraptor gets angry when it has its blood drawn.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Nobody!
Honestly, I think if you want to play a Dino deck, even post Lost Caverns of Ixalan, he's still the best at a Dino tribal. It just fixes a lot of the problems that dinos have, and that they're big, dumb, expensive creatures. And speaking of budgets and having an infinite, I think I have one in this deck too. It's the classic Bear Umbra and Aggravated Assault, because Aggravated Assault is now a very cheap card. We like cheap cards in this channel. Alright. Hopefully we don't hit a bunch of lands, we get some gas. Well, we hit no lands, which is almost just as bad. Alright. I would at least like to have saw 2, so I could have been able to play an additional one this turn, and then I would have been able to play another one next turn. But now my hands are going to be a little tied. Oh well, drawing it up a little weird. Now I'm kind of glad I kept 3 lands in my opener. My Mizium Mortars won't be good enough for this Imalia, but my Curtain Skull will do the job, and then I'll be left with either Hero's Blade, Explorer, and Night's Whisper. And I have to give up a lot of other cards. Now if I hit a land drop off the top and I explore and hit another land, then I could string another spell in there, but that's a little bit of a pipe dream. My chances are good since I just went through 5 cards without seeing a single land. I think Bloodchief's turned on at 3 counters. Bloodchief is so good. Whenever a card, doesn't matter what kind of card, goes to our graveyards, we lose 2 life, he gains 2 life, and just racks up the triggers on Imalia here. I think it's crazy that it's an Explorer trigger too, so he gets a little bit of a card selection and guaranteed land drops. So far, he's got a couple of legendary stuff in here. Geiki and Lauren. Lauren's pretty good. Could blow up some stuff. If he wanted to cast this, he would have to exile 2 things from his graveyard. I think his Azusa and his Shigeki aren't doing much. I think Lauren is pretty darn good in this scenario. The big dino deck in the middle is stumbling a little bit. They missed a land drop. I made up with a Thought Vessel, but it's not as good. Ooh. Since he's killing that guy now, what is he blowing up with? A Blood Chief Ascension? It's a good target. Maybe my Curtains Call is good here still, because I could hit these 2 things, make him open to attacks, so he could decrease the loyalty on this. Because it's at 5 right now. It's 2 away from...
To do great, terrible things.
Let's see if I can draw a land. Damn. Okay. Did not see another land. That's pretty awful. I mean, this Vivian here is also pretty scary. I think I made the wise choice. If I got a land or even 2 lands with that Night's Whisper, I would have went for Explorer and the Curtains Call, but how the cookie crumbles. I'm not too concerned about the vampire player anymore. Kind of like them and what they're doing here, pressuring these planeswalkers.
My bidding.
It's pretty wild though that in the top 17 cards of my library, I only had 4 lands. I'm running 33 in here. My average CMC is pretty low in this deck. 2.23. I'd like to be lower, but what can you do? Ooh, we made these vampires a little bit bigger. Killed 1 Nissa and knocked the Vivian down a little bit. Cool. With all the resources being exchanged this game, I think me and the Dino deck, we might slide under the radar here. They are 1 land drop away from being able to cast Gishath and probably rubber banding themselves back into this game. He's using this Argyle's Bloodfast to pay 2 life and sinking 2 mana to draw a card, and that's how he's been able to excel past all of us. But at least he's exchanging that for life total. But my motto with life total and magic is very similar to Dominic Toretto.
It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile.
That's pretty good in this scenario. He reduces damage by 1. Really useful against all these little rinky-dink things, but not so great against the 6/6. Captivating Vampire is pretty rough. He can steal someone's creature at instant speed. He just needs to tap 5 down. Be a little weary about that. I could play my Forgotten Ancient, but I'm kind of worried about it being stolen. I think I just have to like let it ride. I'm too far behind to not try. So racking up some counters. This does leave me a little vulnerable because I'm the only person between his 3 opponents that is worth stealing. Hell yeah, the Sun Crown. Ooh boy. More life gain rewards. Now whenever he gains life, he gets to put a +1/+1 counter on something. Could excel this pretty fast. Oh god, Exquisite Blood. A little indecisive. Alright, you wanted to commit everything to hitting the Vivian. The vampire player is getting a little spooky now with all the really scary enchantments he has in play. Interesting choice to be throwing it on the captivating vampire. He should be spreading these out a little bit more because people are already interested in killing this due to it like stealing stuff from you. You don't want to be putting too many eggs on one basket. I'd be spreading this along the vampires with lifelink or his commander. The commander is going to grow on its own naturally. You could speed it up that way. But now if someone kills this, he will lose his last turn's investment and he loses the ability to steal stuff. What on earth? Making this unblockable? This doesn't fly though. None of us have things that fly. I guess I have something that flies. I don't know why you would want to hit me though. The dinosaur player is struggling as I am with the mana production in this game, which is good. Mills cards, finds the land, puts it in hand. I was expecting my Forgotten Ancient to have grown a little bit bigger, but he's got 6 cards in hand and a ton of mana. I suspect he'll play more than just mulch this turn. He has not a whole lot of relevant stuff in here. Oh, he might want his Lauren so he can blow up the Exquisite Blood, but he goes for Azusa instead. Maybe he has a bunch of lands in hand and he's gonna just get there anyways. Yeah. My favor is shifting back towards to the middle of the right player, and my attention is back on this vampire player. His commander is a 13/13 right now. Pretty scary. He's 1 vampire short from being able to steal random whatever. It'd probably be my Forgotten Ancient because he can just skip a lot of turns of setting up and just moving exactly what he needs over. He has to wait till his next turn though to do it. Man, I have a Tainted Strike I could maybe sneak in a infect kill. That sounds exciting. Let's play Indoraptor for now. Got 2 mana, so we're just gonna attack Spandy here. It's an 8/11. I don't know if he really cares at 66 life. Time to share the love though. Get a little pressure. Let's make him use the vampire. I still think the Forgotten Ancient to steal is his best play. Might just be leaving that ability up to mess with. Oh god, could have been real bad. Well, when you see 23 cards, the likelihood of you getting the combos, chances are good. Now my Indoraptor does have Menace, so he has to leave up 2 blockers to prevent me from killing him next turn. And I am not willing to take a ton of damage from this thing. I will block with my Ornithopter if he wants to bash me. Come on, commit. Feel safe. Ooh, he only has 1 blocker up. Gonna kill the far right player. I think I'm willing to take 10 damage from a bunch of random stuff. If it was commander, not so much. We're gonna be in a little bit of a trifecta of death here. After I deal with Spandy, I have to worry about every little land big salad draws. Oh god, I forgot about this. Is he just targeting me? Okay, well that sucks. What really sucks though is I could kill one of these 2 players.
Option A or option B.
So then I'm just gonna be vulnerable to a crackback. I'm gonna be satisfied taking away the win from this vampire player though. Ooh, you know what?
I'll take option C.
I have a relentless assault. I could kill them both. I have exactly 5 mana. This is exciting, people. I am really, really happy right now. If the right conditions are met here, like if a board wipe doesn't happen and he just commits everything to the far left player, it's game over, baby. The power of Voltron and a Tainted Strike. I haven't gotten a Tainted Strike win in so long, but in combo with extra combat steps, chef's kiss, baby. Yes. Yes, commit over there. Go get him. Oh, this thing has vigilance? Damn, that sucks. He'll have 2 blockers. You know what? I'll swing at Big Salad first. God, this stuff comes in untapped too. Maybe he won't block. And I could sneak in a W on him that way. I wonder if you'll see it coming. So we're gonna move everything over. Oh my god, I have to manually click all it because it's up to. What a weird interaction. I've never played with Forgotten Ancient on Moto before, but I have to manually click all of these. Excellent. We're gonna see if I can catch the middle player with their pants down. I get 1 shot at killing both of these players right here, and it all depends on if Big Salad chooses the block. His Kinjali Sunwing and his Marauding Raptor aren't that important. I imagine he gives those up just because. He'll be a little surprised though when I decide to attack him, and he should be a little like confused about why I'm choosing him. Okay, I have a bunch of stops, so I want to see how he chooses the block here. Oh, just let it go through.
Oh, for the love of God, I've been patient. Please don't stop.
Come on. Oh, he didn't block.
Thank you.
Big mistake. Here it comes, baby. Goodbye. Main phase 2, Relentless Assault. That is why you should block sometimes. My heart's pounding. I thought for sure he would block right there. Go to match combat. And that's how you get the big W, folks.
Somebody's poisoned the water hole.
Let's give it to Spandy. That was a fun deck to watch. And you know, when I tell my folks that say what they could have done, what they should have done. Coulda, shoulda, didn't happen, baby. When I lose games, I never talk about that kind of stuff typically because it kind of hollows their victory. Let's see. The game was progressing too fast for me to really show off the enraged trigger. The game itself, the stars kind of aligned for me. The middle player made the mistake of not blocking and think he'd just survive. He was kind of pearl clutching his pterodactyl and his raptor. They weren't really worth anything in the game. He was just going to attack with Gishath and refill his board with creatures anyways. If I was in his seat, I would have blocked just out of fear with all that mana up. There's so many things in Magic that can get you. Tainted Strike being one of them, but Unleashed Fury, and then I could have hit him with Teamer Battle Rage, which gives double strike. There's so many terrible things at instant speed you can play that you should never sleep on when playing against a Voltron deck. To be fair, I don't think my opponents really knew I was playing a Voltron deck because the only thing they saw that increased power was my Forgotten Ancient. They probably just assumed that it was just a value piece, but the whole deck, it's meant to be a Voltron strategy. I just drew it up in such a weird way that it wasn't very telling of what my strategy was. The Vampire deck was pretty scary in the beginning, and then the Historic deck was scary in the mid game. But he got picked apart by me and the Vampire player, and then as soon as he was dealt with, the Vampire player kind of rose back up in the ranks to be archenemy. And his mistake was not respecting that my Raptor had Menace. Maybe he didn't care to know that, but he should have. Because it was why I won that game. And I hope you all enjoyed. I hope this provides you a good starting point for you building Indoraptor. You only get 100 choices, which in most people's eyes, that's a lot. But in the grand scheme of Magic, there are thousands upon thousands of Magic cards out there. And it can be quite a daunting task, especially for new players who don't know where to start. And I hope my decks that I provide and build on a budget guide people. It's hard to find lobbies I want to play in a budget, so I typically join lobbies with my budget decks. Pick up wins a lot of the time, and people don't know that they're getting stomped by a $40 to $50 deck. It's pretty satisfying. Take care now. Have a pleasant evening.